future of Europe will be decided in cities.
The main goals of the working group food of Eurocities are to exchange knowledge among the cities that are partners, to develop advocacy action toward the European Commission, and in general to develop shared project proposal in Europe.
In order to create a permanent space of debate with also a friendly context. We met twice a year in different European cities.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar of the Eurocities.
So it's my pleasure to welcome you today on the second webinar of all the series of webinars we already had and we will be having this year. Well, the working group food was created in order to update this, upgrade this topic of urban food in cities in the European debate.
European cities and also other organizations that are working on urban food policies can be met and address each other on the goal that we want to achieve together.
With our new project Food Trails, direct results of years of collaboration in the Eurocities Working Group Food and the Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, we will now create a new platform for exchange of information and insights on sustainable and ambitious urban food policy.
Food Trails will be coordinated by the City of Milan, and there will be 11 pilot projects in cities across Europe. The results will be shared with Eurocity members who can get involved with peer learning opportunities, study visits, and other sorts of things such as interactive workshops.
We focus our activity with some cities here inside the Eurocities Working Group Food. A very important hub made up of 51 cities for sharing knowledge to co-design joint European projects and coordinate advocacy actions to the European Commission. Very important to keep in touch between everything is now happening in the cities and what will be European policy for the future.
Thank you very much, everyone, and officially welcome to this December 2020 meeting of the Eurocities Working Group on Food. We have a lot of people that have been involved in the working group since the very beginning, but we also have a lot of newcomers, for which we are very happy. So Andrea had this fantastic idea to have a clip to show you everything we have been doing until now, and then hopefully making you feel welcome in this family of cities that are interested in changing our food systems to make them more sustainable and make sure we can have access to safe and sustainable and healthy food. So I now leave the words to the chair of the working group, Andrea Magarini.
Thank you, Anya, for the introduction. As welcome also from my side and also from the side of Natalia to this meeting. It's the 9th time that we met within this working group food. As also Anya mentioned, we have a lot of newcomers, so the idea to share our journey together with a video was just to say, okay, we are doing this meeting and these projects together. Today we have a lot of topic to discuss, a lot of element to show you, to present, and to just to inspire. And if Anya, can you start with the slide? We have we are together for 2 hours. We have an agenda of 2 hours with a different section. And in the first, we want to present also this meeting and also all the goal and the work plan for 2021. And we have an exercise then together that we can. Can you start with the slides?
Yep.
Seems that today our technology doesn't work as we wish. But okay, we have. Okay, I take the control. Perfect. With this is the agenda as mentioned. So in the first section, we have a talk about our goal for the next year, 2021. Then an in-depth presentation of Farm to Fork that will present by Anya, and immediately to the tableau about our thought and our opinion on the Farm to Fork, and then a section about some projects that we can maybe jointly prepare in the future, and also some thoughts that we are discuss each other in the last months. The last part is a quick intervention, and we have booked intervention from 12 cities, more or less. In that part, we will divide we will split our group into rooms to facilitate a more in-depth presentation and more time per each cities. And after this, a conclusion. We are 61 cities officially registered from 30 European cities, and also for the first time also the city of Istanbul. Now we are 31 connected, but as you know, for all the time there are people that are registered and then take slides and so on. But we are well spread all around Europe, and we are very happy about this. In this opening, I was also to remark what will happen tomorrow, because will be organized the 6th Global Forum of Milan Urban Food Policy Pact. As you know, our working group is the regionalization process in Europe. And so tomorrow we have this opportunity of an online event that will be broadcast on the new Milan Pact website. So just to type milanurbanfoodpolicypact.org. And tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central Europe time, you can take part in this event. It's also an event in which we will share, and so the colleagues of us from the Secretariat will share what you shared during the Milan Pact talks. That just to refresh your mind are the edition of this year of the Milan Pact Awards, fully oriented to COVID food responses. We gathered an impressive participation, so 109 submissions from all around the world. And as you can see also in the graph is the edition with much more participation. And what you shared video. Because we think that in this strange year, the submission is we want to see the face and the voice and the cities and the partners of all of our cities participants, and here you can have also a link about the cluster of this video. So more or less the half about ensuring food aid, 1/3 about recovering our food economy, and 22% about promoting healthy diets. And tomorrow we have the heart of the online event fully dedicated to these COVID food responses. So again, I think that all of you received the newsletter of a Milan Urban Food Policy Pact, and also on the social media you can find some other links. Save this date that tomorrow we will broadcast this part. And so coming back to our goals, as you have also the opportunity to see in the video, we met 8 times before today, since 2016 in Brussels, in Birmingham in 2017 about nutrition and also with some study visits, then in Valencia speaking about food innovation, 1 year after in 2018 in spring in Amsterdam fully dedicated to the system and the policies and the action about food losses and waste management. In the autumn in Lyon about urban and peri-urban agriculture, with also some study visits in school canteens, and the year after in Ghent about climate impact. The last time that we met in person was in Montpellier during the 5th Global Forum of the Milan Pact, and unfortunately from the 2020 we move our meeting online. So we have a meeting that was supposed to be in Almere, but at the end was moved online due to the COVID. And also today we have also before to move to the work plan to the 2021 that will be presented by Natalia, a brief highlight from what we achieved in 2020. We propose a call among our member cities of the Eurocities Working Group Food to taking part of an Horizon 2020 funded project that at the end was selected and is named Food Trails. During this meeting and also in other dedicated meetings, we have the opportunity to go much more in depth with these projects that will provide pilot action for the participant cities and also other big opportunity for our member cities. And so we have the opportunity to taking part in the replication and in the visit and other elements that then will be explained much more better than I can do. And we share a lot of practices regarding COVID food responses, and we organize some simple webinar, and then Anya facilitated the collection and the gathering of a lot of practices, and the Eurocities launched a dedicated platform to the COVID responses from European cities, and that is also a part dedicated to food. And then we advocate about the role of cities in some talk with the European Commission. For sure that 2020 is a strange year in which all of we planned need to be rechanged, and also we think that for the next year we can achieve more of this of what we are planning. So I leave immediately to Natalia Boteau, that is the vice chair of the working group food, that go further in the presentation, and then to Anya for the exercise to work together with this goal. So Natalia, up to you.
Yes, good morning everyone. So yes, so if you could just move to the next slide. I will present you the objectives of our work within the working group food for next year. So we based our reflection on our chair and vice chair applications to the Eurocities working group food, obviously, and then also we will use the resources from the food trade project that Andrea just presented a little bit more in depth. So we still want to be the European platform that will share knowledge about how to create urban food strategies and all related activities, and to cooperate with different stakeholders in order to achieve this goal. So we will definitely further develop this aspect and this objective. We will also develop our advocacy activities, voice the crucial role of cities to the European institutions, and especially with regards to the new strategy Farm to Fork that was issued by the European institutions this year in May. And we will also definitely inform about all the EU-funded projects that the member cities of our working group food can participate in, and we will help in order to join this project. So now we will see how we want to do this and what are our thoughts on that in the next slide. So first, regarding this first objective of still being a platform sharing knowledge, we will use one of the deliverables of the Food Trades project. We will have the opportunity to create an insightful report on co-creation methodologies for urban food strategies and related activities. So it will have all these online meetings sharing this information. We will also further share information on how to respond to COVID pandemic challenges regarding food aid. Also considering the EU funding. Then regarding the second objective, which is about advocacy, we will at least engage 10 key actors, so across the EU institutions. We will also in this regard, create more visibility around our activity. So by doing online events and using different communication opportunities. And then in order to, for you as cities engaged with our working group food or interested in joining, then we will definitely show you and inform you about all these opportunities that are created by the EU to have some fundings to further develop urban food strategies, and then we will have at least 2 online meetings on this topic. So, and we will measure it as follows. So first, we will refer to the number of member cities that's developed an urban food strategy. So that will allow us to see the results of our activity. Then we will count the number of meetings we have with these crucial actors of the EU institutions that will help us in our advocacy work. And then we will also count the number of calls for proposal that the EU is proposing and the number of our city members that are engaged in the calls and that want to participate in it. So that's how we see it, and we are very curious about your opinions and suggestions, comments. So, thank you.
Okay, so this was something, of course, the chair and vice chair of the working group together with Eurocities have come together. That's what we believe it will be the core of our objective for 2021. But of course, this objective will not take place without the collaboration of everybody, all of you. So I would like first to know who is in the room. Of course, I know because I follow the registration, but maybe you would like to know who else is in the room since we cannot see each other. So I would like to invite you to something very, very quick and small, but I think it can still be interesting. So you just go on Slido. So you just type in your phone or in a related web browser Slido. And then they ask you to put a code, and the code is EU Food Cities 2020. By the way, EU Food Cities is also our Twitter hashtag for every time we meet, which of course we cannot meet live this year, but yeah. So I will for one moment stop sharing the presentation and I will instead share my screen. So just to know who is in the room. Very quickly, and so that you can also feel a bit involved in this meeting and it's not only us speaking. Just let me know when you're all ready to join with your phone. Slido.com, EU Food Cities 2020. Ready? Okay, we want to know from where are you joining us, so just input the name of the city. Ideally in English or also in your own language, we would love it. Oh, as you can see, we have quite a lot of people joining from Milan, but also from Istanbul. That, as I said, we are very, very happy to have so many newcomers. But we also have Almere, we have Wrocław in Poland, Bruges in Belgium, Ghent, Gothenburg and Oros from the north of Europe, Madrid, Chesterfield? Okay, you were not in the registration. That's fantastic. We have Birmingham, Thessaloniki, Strasbourg, Ostend also. So yeah, quite a lot of cities. Fantastic. As I said, we are so happy to see such a geographical spread. And then, how many meetings have you attended? Is this your first one or your second one? Since we meet online, there is quite a lot of new people. Or you've been involved from the very, very beginning, or you have attended more than 3 meetings. Okay, so the highest majority is coming from the very first time. This is normal since we are meeting online. It means we can have more participants joining from all over Europe. But we also have a hardcore of people, 8% of the participants that have been with us since the very, very beginning. So this is fantastic. And then a very, very final just question. What would you like to get from today's meeting? Of course, we have prepared an agenda, but we're also more than happy. Here you just have to answer with one word, and then we'll see what's coming. Information, ideas, exchange, networking, farm to fork, funding, inspiration, insights, perspective, networking and contacts, and change. I love change. We are all here because we want to change the food system. Partnership for your project, practices, update, ideas for cooperation. So I'm so happy to see the biggest words are exchange, inspiration, and networking. And I think they fit extremely well with what we have put in the objective for 2021. Farm to Fork is also becoming bigger, which is our second objective for 2021, focus on advocating on the role of cities. There is quite a lot, it's a bit smaller, but it's coming multiple times, it's funding. Funding is our third objective, making sure that cities can access EU funding to work more on sustainable food system. So dear Chair and Vice Chair, as you can see, the people that are joining today are completely in line with the objective that we have put for 2021. So I think it's pretty fantastic. So, okay, 1 second, let me come back. Okay. Would you have, so now is the time where we have presented, of course, the objective. I can see already from this quick exercise on slide that you're all very much focused on a similar line of objective, but we have also asked you, we will also would like to use your time today to input, because when we send email and asking you to input, sometimes we understand it's hard for you to, to come back to have the time, but altogether I think we can do it. And also we thought we can do this through Google document. So in the chat, you have the opportunity to join an online Google document, and we will go through it, and you will ask to take the time to read the objective, and also how do we want to achieve it, and how we will measure the progress, and to try to input on if you have any idea, particularly if you scroll down in the document, you will have the timeline of activities. So now it's really the time that we can try all together in a co-creation exercise. We will try to do, even though we are 40 around the room, so sometimes it's not the easiest. If you want to input on the objective, and this input should come particularly if you know you're already thinking of doing any activity in 2021. Maybe your country is organizing a meeting that can be interesting for us. Maybe you're involved in another project that is organizing and that is having a nice report coming out, or you're familiar with webinar that other organizations are organizing. And the idea is that we really try to input all together to make sure that we have a very cohesive timeline of activities from January to December. Just keep in mind that, of course, most of these activities should become as relevant for the objectives of 2021, but you're also more than welcome to propose other ideas. We will keep them in mind. We will see whether with the resources that we have, we can accomplish more. Of course, we are also aiming at going for the additional mile, but we'll see. Would anybody like maybe to try to comment already on how do you see this objective, and do they fit in, will they be able to come in your help? Of course, the one on a EU-funded projects. Who would like to take the word? Don't, I would like not to call out on people, but it's something I can also do. We had a training on how to moderate this meeting, and we were taught you have to be very strict and making sure everybody is following and not checking their email at the same time. And I see in the meantime a lot of more people have joined as well.
But it seems that work because there are 22 persons now in the Google Doc, so all of you, and we see the different dots that are moving.
So you're all reading very deeply the work plan, taking the time to define further what we have put in draft.
So Anya and
Yes.
Andrea, is the idea that we all contribute to the work plan now? We start working on it at the moment, or do you want us to come back to it afterwards? What's the hope? Yeah,
thank you, Carolina. Yes, because we know it's a bit hard sometimes to get input by email. I think we can really take the time now for you to read it thoroughly and make sure that you can contribute and you can give idea. So we put around 10 minutes for that, and if we see it's not necessary, we will continue to the next item in the agenda. I see one hand is raised. I'm happy someone found the tool for raise handing. So this is Joe from Glasgow. Would you like to say something?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I had a look at the document. I think it's excellent. We are currently consulting on our food plan, so there's great synergy there. Obviously, we want to hear what citizens say back, but I think some of the things, I'm here with a colleague, Councillor Mandy Morgan, but one of the things that jumps out at us is the inclusion of procurement. I think it's really important, and certainly I think we in Glasgow know that we have to do better. It's a critical part of the kind of farm to fork. So how do we do that to ensure that it's local ecosystems, and you know, we're community wealth building, and it's also kind of healthier. So that's one of the key things, particularly for me, because I know it's a challenge for Glasgow. So the best practice that other cities are able to share, we will absolutely embrace. But yeah, looking great from our perspective. Synergy, thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. Well, procurement is one of our top priority for sure. We know this is one of the main tools a lot of cities use when they start to work on food, and it's also one way that they use to interact with other stakeholders, like of course the school canteens. We are very aware of this, and yeah, in 10 minutes I will explain the farm to fork, and indeed one of the main area we will try to cooperate with the European Commission is on procurement, because they are really open to suggestion on how they can push, in particular, the uptake of biological food in cities. And they want to have discussion with us. We are going to have some meetings with them on this, and so I would be more than happy to bring you along as city representative, that you can also represent the interest of the others in our work.
Yeah, just add one thing, and it's not so much a priority, but more of a principle. I think when it comes to food, one of the things commonplace in the UK also has been poverty and people's use of food banks. And I think it will come up later when we're kind of sharing city updates, but it's ensuring that if there's any work that's transformative, it's also transformative how we address poverty, and people's dignity is at its heart. You know, so recognition that food is a right and we have to respect people's dignity as well. So for me, as I said, again, a principle, but I would like us to try and, hopefully other people agree, but centre that in what we do, because that's some of the things we've been, trying to pioneer. And again, Councillor Mandy Morgan has been spearheading that in the city. So yes, if we could keep that at its heart, we would be incredibly grateful.
I think here I will leave Andrea to provide feedback, because he is also one advocate to work further on this topic. And if you have idea on how we could touch this further, he will, in particular, maybe you want to present the idea of working on funds for the European funds for the most deprived.
Yes, thanks, Joy. I think that is one of the topic that some cities are strengthened a lot in their food actions, and we are doing this in Milan. And I know that also seeing the Milan Pact Talk, that a lot of European cities are working on food aid, on food poverty, and so on. I think that maybe in February we can organize a dedicated webinar, big webinar, like some hours with European officers active on FEAD, that is the fund that Anya mentioned for most deprived, maybe his name.
The European Fund for the Most Deprived.
Yes, that allowing buying food and distributing food in the cities for people in need, as well as some scholars, some experts. Tomorrow in the afternoon there is a big conference online on FEAD, and also from the European Food Banks Association, and also to share practices among our cities, how we are managing this system of food aid, and if there are other actions that can support the people in need, not just with aid, for instance, with school canteens and other elements like this. But thanks, Joe, for mentioning this topic that I think can be much more strengthened in our working group, as well as with Anya. Sometimes we mention we can maybe organize some exchange with the forum of the Social Affairs Forum of Eurocities that are fully oriented on social issues. And so, as we have already done in Amsterdam with the working group on waste, we can organize a joint meeting with that cities officers that are fully expert on this topic.
So that's a fantastic idea. Thank you very much for intervening. I can see also Alessandra and Carolina are mentioning that they appreciate the idea. So don't hesitate to write in the chat or directly in the document if you have further idea on how we can expand on this topic. But also if you have any other topic you will feel it will be a priority for you or for the project you're involved into, this is really the time where we would like to connect, to collect the input. And we will do so for the next, the Social Affairs Forum of Eurocities is a powerful machine. They are working already a lot on the topic, of course, of access on poverty and how to eradicate poverty, homelessness, but also access to food. So indeed, it will be really great to collaborate with them. Anybody else would like to intervene? We are more than happy to hear your thoughts. What are going to be the top priority for you for the next year, and how can we work together on them? Andrea, the FEAD link, the event where Roberta is going to be speaking, right?
Yes, I found and I share in the chat.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I will be more than happy to share more often events. I have to find the right balance between spamming all of you by email and also share, because so much is happening all the time in terms of meetings and online events especially. But of course, if you want me also to share something you are involved in too, don't hesitate. Okay. Okay. I see a lot is happening on the Farm to Fork, even before I'm explaining the Farm to Fork. This is fantastic. Okay. I thought of doing it in pieces, but I think co-creation also means that we have to adjust the agenda based on what people are working on. So it's fantastic. But so maybe since we are already working on the Farm to Fork, I'll take the time to just explain where we are and to give a very quick introduction for those of you that are less familiar. It's a bit So for those of you that were at the meeting we had actually in June on the farm to fork, I'm sorry, some of it might come a little bit of a repetition, but we have to make sure, because we have so many, wrong PowerPoint. We have to make sure to give also an update for those of you that are less familiar with it. So actually, maybe those of you that were involved in it from the very beginning can say, what is the farm to fork? Like the city of Ghent was one of the few that answered actually to the consultation on the farm to fork. Lieta, would you like to say maybe what it is and what you have answered to this consultation?
Hello. Well, I'm not prepared to do a whole talk on our reply to the farm to fork strategy, but if I remember the consultation well, we answered and we stressed, of course, the role cities should play in the farm to fork strategy, because we have a lot of expertise already. We have a lot of knowledge already on certain aspects of the farm to fork strategy, like procurement, for example. And I think cities should play a role in setting those or developing those concrete actions together with European institutions. So that's mainly what we said, that we should really play a role and give input to make it more concrete. Yeah, so in two sentences. But in the meantime, I was looking at the Google Doc, so I'm kind of multitasking for
Fantastic.
the moment.
We love this way of working, Lieta. Thank you very much. And I've asked Lieta because also she was asked during the presidency of the German presidency to represent the role of cities in food. That's why I knew she was ready. Sorry for coming at you without the pre-announcing. Okay, but what is the farm to fork? It has to be clear for everybody that this is just a communication. It's just the idea that for once, all the legislation of the European Union will go in a more coordinated direction. So as you know, because you also work in cities, and cities is the same, you have a number of different initiative and legislation that contribute to our food system. In particular, in the European Union, we have the Common Agricultural Policy, but also the trade agreements, things related to security of food, food waste, and these don't always all go in the same direction, let's say. So the idea is that, okay, we need something that all goes and make sure that we coordinate and it goes in the same direction. But currently it's just a communication, so it's just an ambition. There is nothing concretely in terms of legislation. So what do they want to achieve? They want to have European citizens have access to healthy, affordable and sustainable food. Of course, the biggest ambition is also to tackle climate change, is to protect the environment and preserve the biodiversity, ensure a fair economic return in the supply chain, and increase in organic farming. So these are the overall objective of the farm to fork communication. And this communication, if you can check the documents I sent around, if you haven't received it, just drop me an email and I will share with you again. I sent around, the main communication that you can find very easily also online by just typing farm to fork. I think they've also now translated it in other languages, so you can also get at it in French or in Spanish or in Italian. And then it's divided in 5 overall areas. The most important one is the European legislation that should come in 2023 on sustainable food system. So this is more or less the head that will make this communication, this ambition, become legislation. When it becomes legislation in terms of EU, as those of you maybe that haven't had a master degree in European studies like I had, they will come down in terms of all of your countries and national level, and they will also have an impact then in your work. And this is why it's very important for us to make sure that we contribute to this work before it comes in place. So it's always a very long process, European legislation, but it's because it's very, very much attempting to be democratic, regardless of what some politicians might say. It takes a very long time because they consult with a huge amount of stakeholders, and Eurocities, it's involved in this process. We are in the advisory group, and we tried as much as possible to make sure that the voice of cities is heard. It's not only us in the game, it's a lot of other people, so it's not always so easy. So I was saying this is the biggest hat, but then there are 4 overall areas. So sustainable food production, sustainable food processing and distribution, sustainable food consumption, and food loss and waste prevention. And under each of these sub-area, you have either legislation or you have initiative. So that are not really coming with mandatory target, but for example, how to make businesses collaborate better or make what they call code of conduct. This will not become a legislation, but say, okay, let's help and work together on this. So this is the Farm to Fork really in a nutshell. And as I said, for the moment, it's just ambition. The ambition are mainly related still to the food production side. So a lot related to reduction of pesticides in agriculture, reduction of nutrient losses, use of antimicrobials for farm animals. These are all legislation that are currently being discussed. And I think one of the most also interesting is organic farming. They want to make sure that 25% of total farmland will become organic by 2030. And this is the objective that they want to make actually law by using procurement. They want to put mandatory target for, we don't know yet if it's at country level or maybe then it will become at city level, for everybody to buy at least a certain percentage of organic food by 2030. So by 2030. And this could possibly be involved in a different number of legislation, but the biggest one is this proposal for legislative framework for sustainable food system. As I was mentioning, with Eurocities, we are working quite a lot on this, but we are not alone. Again, for those of you that were at the June meeting, you have heard of this EU Food Policy Coalition. This is currently around 50 organizations that are active in Brussels, that they want to see a change in the food system. Most of these organizations are active, for example, for protection of water, or for example, organizations like Greenpeace or WWF, but also organization for consumer protection, organization for animal welfare. But we can see that we are all very much going in the same direction. So together we are advocating, we don't always agree on how to do it, but definitely we all advocate for a change in the food system. Yeah, so at this point I wanted to ask indeed to go on the Google Docs and tell me how do you think this Farm to Fork should look like. Currently, I think the biggest priority will be for you on food procurement, and whether you agree that we will put mandatory target on procurement, or if other tools will be necessary. But a huge amount of work is also on food waste. And here this food waste will come from the platform where Andrea, as City of Milan, was involved. This is an advisory platform on food losses and food waste. They have some conclusion. So when it comes to food waste, a lot of the input will come from there. And okay, Katie is asking in terms of time of our objective. Food Shift would also have a report on citizens co-creation methodologies. When it will come out, because ours will come out in July, I think, if I remember correctly. So we should probably cooperate on that. I've also put in February that we can have a meeting dedicated only on citizens co-creation methodologies on food waste. Katie, feel free to jump in.
Yes, hello, good morning. Yeah, I don't know the timing exactly. It's our partner at ILVO, but I'm sure you have contacts already, but I will ask the responsible person what is their timing, and so it would be good that you can share experiences or the report.
Yeah, what we put in the timeline in February. Yes, we wanted to have maybe a focus group on the latest tools that cities are using, particularly during COVID. There was quite a shift for other type of technology tools, digital tools, on co-creation methodology with citizens. So of course we already have quite a lot of ideas on that, but we thought maybe a dedicated meeting on this will be interesting. We also have a digital working group and forum at Eurocities, and they are working a lot on citizens co-creation strategy, not all related to food, but new tools that we can use that. So for the moment, I put it on February as an idea for a meeting. Okay, I feel here we are now talking timeline and talking farm to fork. Anybody more raised hand? Anya. Other Anya.
Yeah, sure. How did you want us to respond in the Google document when it comes to the proposed procurement criteria? Is there a special section? I just couldn't find it.
Yeah, I part B under farm to fork input, there is food procurement. I see someone has already put Copenhagen. So I see you're very active busy bees trying to input on the document. But of course, if something comes also later, yeah. So yeah, this is because I discussed with you, Anya. Maybe you also refer that I would like also for people that are interested, if you want to come with me when I'm having meetings with the Commission, to be the expert that stands side by side with me and really mention the issues that cities face. We will be more than happy. We have currently a meeting planned in January on that. So I would also be more than happy of this.
We would definitely be interested in or offer to share our experiences if the criteria for 25% organic purchasing will be part of the coming criteria. We would be very happy to share our experiences in Copenhagen, since we are getting close to 90%. So we have almost 20 years experience and very broad sort of uptake among all different types of kitchens. So we have a lot to share.
Fantastic. Anybody else would like to input on that? Or, for example, any other area where you would like to say, okay, I think the European Union should do this. This is what we need. This is what we miss. You absolutely have to say that. This is really what we need. And please, everybody else, I see we have so many newcomers. So please don't hesitate to jump in. We are more than happy to hear your thoughts, especially for and colleagues that are not involved in the European Union, because we have a representative from Istanbul and soon UK. Don't worry. I really feel that the farm to fork can be interesting also for you, even though you will not be involved in the EU in such a direct way anymore. But as you know, probably, and also colleague from Oslo, of course. I think this kind of legislation spread also from outside the EU, especially when it comes to money and funding. All these countries are normally having access to European funding. So, anybody else would like to jump in or contribute, or you're all typing in on the document? There is such an amount of inputting and writing, for which I'm very happy, because sometimes it's hard, as I said, to take the time during the week to input, but like this, we wanted to take this moment together.
In the chat, Joe mentioned also the link between food system and climate and biodiversity emergencies, and we think that also within the farm to fork and all the field of action that are presented also in the Google Doc, we can work as cities to monitor our environmental impact in different field of action, from food waste to procurement, and can be a topic in which we can strengthen our system to monitor and sharing, also exploiting the participation of Horizon projects, and after go together to the Glasgow, so to the Glasgow Declaration, to all the international agreement to say, okay, the European cities together are doing this, and we can share these practices, and we're thinking that these targets are well positioned.
Yeah, I would say this deserves a 1 minute explanation on what is the Glasgow Declaration, because I've sent it by email, but maybe not everybody has got a glimpse of this incredible work that is behind this declaration. So Joe, maybe would like to intervene on this.
Hi. Yeah, this was, I think, launched Monday. It's weeks and days are a blur. Glasgow's the host of COP26 next year, and this was part of our countdown to COP. So with Milan Food Policy Partnership, a national organisation called Nourish Scotland, what we're seeking is a commitment by subnational governments, whether that's regional or kind of city, to tackle the climate emergency through integrated food policies and calling on national governments to act. So I haven't put it on the Google Doc, but we did have COP26 down there. You know, this is one, it's a pledge, it's a call. Hopefully it will be backed up by concrete action, which I think you guys are already featuring within the work plan. But it's something that, you know, as a city, very often we're all used to national governments setting targets, saying you've got to do this. Cities have got to deliver, give us the power to deliver and give us the money to deliver as well. So we're trying to open up that conversation. And I think just to know, I mean, Anya, you were highlighting ourselves, Oslo, Istanbul, outside the European Union. I was joking that Glasgow intends to come back soon. But I think from where we're sitting, you know, Brexit details still being worked out, but the absolute threat of basically World Trade Organization standards in the UK. You know, and I think the public is very concerned about some of the potential for what that may mean. So, you know, a lot of the stories have featured around chlorinated chicken. You know, here us losing the standards in Europe. So I think Europe does have a big part to play in setting standards, which hopefully we will still align from and profit. But it's a recognition that globally, there's lots of issues out there, and I think the role of, when you're looking at American policy, and I'm being very general here, set by global multinationals who reduce food standards. So I think we've got to be very mindful of that too, and our power as cities, and also European cities, whether formally or not, how we can actually counter what's happening globally in our food chains and systems.
Fantastic, thank you, Joe. I think the link with climate and food is of course very important. I've added in the timeline that COP26 is in November, and probably there will be also opportunity to work. And I will be happy to share more information on the Glasgow Declaration by email also after this meeting. So yeah, if any further question from people, I will really, for those that are new, feel free to jump in. I know we are not seeing each other, but we still are keen in hearing from you. And don't hesitate if your English is not top notch. We are really happy to hear. What are you working? What are your thoughts? What are your priority, and how can we put this priority in our activities for next year? Yeah.
Hi. Hi, sorry, I didn't raise my head. This is Stella. Can you see me? Yeah, hi. Hi, I just commented in the doc. Here in Thessaloniki, Greece, it's an opportunity to be part of the funding, the Horizon funding food trails, because for us, it's the first steps to develop a strategy or an assessment on food policy, as there is no jurisdiction in the municipalities of Greece for food policy, apart from food for social cohesion and food banks, etc. So for us, it could be more easy to see if there is a methodology or steps that we have, or a toolbox or tools, how to assess and how to create and develop a strategy on food policies, and how to communicate with the holders. We are on our first steps, as I've said, and we have a lot of stakeholders. We are, not an informal food council, and we are as the first municipality out of 300 municipalities in Greece. So it will be very helpful for us, in order to do the dissemination to other and to promote that to other municipalities and to put that to scale up in a national level and, to make it legislation framework as well. Because as Anya, you said, in Europe, coming from a communication documents such as Farm to Fork, and that will lead to a legislative framework, and that we need to be prepared somehow. So it's an opportunity for us, and it's an opportunity for Greece as a country to start talking with the cities, because the cities had to, manage as well this problem, especially now in COVID, that there were multiple problems as well. Thank you. That's fine.
Thank you, Stella. Absolutely. Completely agree with everything you have been mentioning. We will advocate for the role of cities in the Farm to Fork. It's our second priority for 2021, and we will support cities in co-creation strategies. First priority of the working group, food. So fantastic. Ricardo has raised his hand.
Yeah. Good morning, Anna. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks to allow me to participate in this group meeting. I comment in the document our rural incubator in the local scale. Okay, we are working very closely in promoting rural entrepreneurship in Guimarães. I think it's a great way to achieve some measures that Farm to Fork are being implemented. First, because we know that 11% of EU farms are managed by farmers under the age of 40 years old, while 3% are managed by people over 65. And in Portugal, Anna and colleagues, we have 3.7% of agricultural producers under 40 years old. We know that this data, and for us, is a challenge. And in our local scale in Guimarães, we are promoting our rural incubator that is strongly related with youngsters. Okay, and with young people. We want to encourage young farmers in Guimarães to ensure continuity between generations, because this represents to us a challenge for rural development. In a way that we considering that world food production needs to be doubled by 2050 in a view of population growth and changing eating habits. So I think our effort and our, if you can say, our good practice is to work with a rural entrepreneurship project, especially dedicated to the young people in Guimarães, in order to achieve the Farm to Fork goals.
Yes, so food production is honestly not one area where I have strongly get involved into, since I feel I don't have the competence to do that. But of course we can also, try to get more involved. It's also very technical sometimes when it comes to the common agricultural policy. It's often very technical, and it's a very difficult topic. But if you have also ideas on that, I will be more than happy to bring them.
Yes. Because this question, continuity between generations, we guess is very important to achieve the Farm to Fork goal. I mean, we have new producers and new agro generations, but we must enhance our youngsters that comes agro generation view and to trying to support them to introduce a business plan in the agro sector.
Okay, I also add this to the document in urban farming, but also agroecology is something my colleagues in the Food Coalition definitely mention a lot as one of their top priority when it comes to food production. Great. I think this was a very successful exercise. I think we got so many input, a lot more than if I would have probably asked you to just by email to work on this. So I'm very happy and very satisfied. And I think we need the family picture now before we move to the next steps, right, Andrea?
Exactly. So if you can please open your camera and to see in the camera and to smiling. Also, you can also see our view of audience. We are like in a theater. And Lieta say, ah, we see you. Okay, I take one screenshot. And if you want to take a joking, smiling like here, or everything strange. Okay, taking, and yeah, some among you take the victory symbol. If you take also together. Okay. Taken. Wow. And we, as you know, this is recorded. We want to share with this part with all of your mayor, with all of your director, in order to say, okay, we are also joking during our working group food meeting. No, sorry, I'm joking. But it's a good tool also to share in the social media and to say, yeah, we are a group, you are working together, blah blah. And also from my side, great congratulations for the participation. I feel good vibes, and also for everything that you shared in the Google Doc that are very, very interesting, and also some practices that we can work in together on this. Just to mention, if that you want, in the chapter about 2021 timeline activities, you can propose something, you can propose webinar, you can propose also your active role in some part, and please choose the month and type what you want in order also to share this part of responsibility to organize meeting and to share practices. I think that after this photo, Anya, I don't remember if we have some break or if you move to the...
Maybe we can do a temperature check in the room. Would you prefer to do a 1 minute break now, or after we discuss European funding, when we move to the side rooms? So if you want to take a minute break to go and grab a glass of water, you can type 1 in the chat. And if you want to continue to European funding and we have the break afterwards, you can type 0. Okay, I can feel there is a need for a break.
Cristina, Silvia, Riccardo, Ether, Karin. Okay.
Everybody wants a break.
Yeah, there is a majority for the break.
Exactly.
So a couple of minutes break, just grab a cup of coffee, grab some water, and then we come back to discuss European funding, project proposal, and then we also move to the side room. See you in a couple of minutes. Andrea, can we have some music in the background?
Yes, I find, not immediately, but
DJ Andrea will provide.
Okay, just 2 minutes, just a 2 minute video with some music, and see you back.
Ciao Andrea.
Ciao.
Sono arrivato.
Simone.
Scusa, sono arrivato adesso.
Ok, don't worry.
Ti seguo un po' passivamente la prossima ora mentre proseguo.
Okay, we have 1 minute break after some talk about the projects and then the quick intervention. So the part maybe about 11 and 20.
Okay.
If you're not using RIKE for project management and team collaboration, you're literally stuck.
Hot copper bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, big and the bold, ding dong ding dong, that is the song. With jubilee or caroling, one seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they bound, praising the sound, all in a dance, telling us glory, glory in excelsis Deo. Glory, glory, hark how the bells all seem to say, Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, big and the bold, ding dong ding dong, that is the song. With jubilee or caroling, one seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they bound, praising the sound, Lord in a dance, and in a dance. Hey, hey, while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hey, hey, while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Glory, glory in excelsis Deo. Glory, all seem to say Christmas is here, bringing good cheer. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they bound, praising the sound, Lord in a dance, and in a dance. Hey, hey, while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hey, hey, while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hark how the bells all seem to Christmas is here, bringing good cheer. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they bound, praising the sound, Lord in a dance, and in a dance. Hey, hey, while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Hey, hey, while people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Merry, merry, merry Christmas. Merry, merry, merry Christmas. All they said, all they have said, there's a gift to everyone. Hark how the bells all seem to say, glory, glory, ding dong ding dong, that is their song.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. So just to check if you're all back in the chat, there is an item called GIF or GIF. So let me know how do you feel about starting again by just adding one GIF related to food. It has to be related to food. So let's see. Just to check if you're all back in the room. Okay, it's not about GIF, it's about okay, Okay, so let's start again. So we have just a few minutes for funding. So as you know, the third objective of the working group food is to make sure you have access to information on funding opportunity, but also to give you the opportunity to come together and let's say, okay, we want to cooperate on this, let's find a European project and let's get together. So this is something I will try to do in every meeting that we have, but also to send you information by email every time a call for proposal is out. And now is the right time to start this because yay, we have a European budget for the next 7 years. It took a little bit of trouble time. Some governments didn't want us to have a budget, but now we have it, which means that starting from January 2021, there will be new opportunities, new money. And again, once again, don't hesitate, even if you are part of Norway, Turkey, UK, I'm pretty sure you will also be involved in this funding opportunity. For UK, we will have probably to see maybe a couple of years that they negotiate their involvement, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be opportunities. So just very quick, I go back to my PowerPoint, which always starts from slides number 1, which is very, very annoying. But so just so since we are coming at the end of this funding period, what is left is just one call for proposal at the moment, which is called the Farm to Fork call for proposal. I sent it also this call for proposal in the document, and what we wanted to do this is just to present Eurocities and Milan are involved in 2 calls for proposal, and we are looking for other cities that would like to participate. But again, if you also are involved or if you're looking for funding, this is the time that you can let us know. And in the future, so now, as I mentioned, we only have a little bit of money left. We are in December of 2020, but starting from January 2021, we have new opportunity under Horizon Europe. So this is the funding program for research and innovation, where more than 77 countries across the world are eligible. We have LIFE. This is the funding program for environment and climate, but also energy and circular economy. And of course, food is also part of the topic there. Then we have the funding program where more are dedicated to cities and regions. These are URBACT, Urban Innovative Action, and Interreg. We don't expect these calls before probably end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. But again, we were more than happy to facilitate this kind of partnership between you to come together. And DevCo, this is the funding program for development and cooperation. And Milan and other of you I know also have a project under this funding. And this is especially important for cooperation with other countries in the world. So as I said, there is not much information for sure yet. We are just now in this period where we are changing from one EU budget to the next European budget. But I will try to provide this information constantly in my emails or in the next meeting. So when it comes to the last opportunity of this year, the Farm to Fork strategy, it's very linked to the communication I just presented, but it's a very particular call for proposal because it's divided in subtopic. And not all of them are very interesting for cities. 3 of them are mainly related to farming and innovation ways when it comes to farming. But there is especially a topic related to reducing food losses and waste, subtopic E, or shifting to sustainable healthy diets, subtopic F, that these are very interesting. And personally, Eurocities is involved in subtopic B. We are involved in a project that is going to look at how to make businesses along the entire food supply chain more climate neutral. And we will be sending a letter of an email back in January where we can ask the cities that want to be involved in this project as third partners, just involved in some capacity, in some activities, not as full partner. If you want to be involved, you can sign this letter of support and you can come back to me and you will give priority when it comes to work together if we win the project. Milan also wanted to share something, I'm sure, and then I'll give the opportunity also for somebody else if you want to share what you're working on.
Thank you, Anya. Yes, it's an opportunity that coming to us from the WHO, so the World Health Organization, that is part of an Horizon project named STOPPED project about European Childhood Obesity project. And the lead partner is the Imperial College of London. Is a project that is in the ending part, and they want to present in a webinar or something else in the early 2021 to some European cities interested to taking part in a newest call about Horizon Europe that in the next year will be planned. And they want to be sure that maybe some city can take in part, and we want to anticipate this work with them in order to be sure that we are aligned, that the cities are well committed. So if there are some volunteers to taking part in these new projects, type in the chat or your interest, and for sure we'll organize a dedicated webinar on that by involving a speaker, the WHO and the Imperial College. But this was just a quick update.
So if anybody else is looking for partners or you are working in project, you can let us know now, take the floor, or also I'm happy to disseminate information by email. Eurocities has a partner search service, of course, not only for food, but also on the other topic, and we are more than happy to create partnership and help you accessing European funding. So Andrea, Copenhagen is interest. And Joe from Glasgow say, keep us in mind also if we will come third countries. Geneva is interest, Strasbourg also, Oros. Lieta will check from Ghent if there might be interest. So great. Okay, is anybody else working on project that they would like to look for partners, or they would like to find ideas to work together? Okay, well, Bruges would have to check as well. So as I said, from my side, you will receive in January more information on the project I'm working on as Eurocities, project proposal I'm working on, and you will be able to get involved as partner, third partner. So Karine is mentioning that they are looking for partners around food waste. Will you be involved, Karine, in this Farm to Fork call that has a specific subtopic on food losses and food waste?
Yeah, we're still looking for partners as we are not, don't feel enough courage to take the lead in a project proposal, but we're looking for partners, and especially around food waste for restaurants, reduction, and schools is also the total approach. So sustainable food, healthy food for schools, but also food waste. Yeah.
Okay, so just for everybody, so Karine is also looking for partners. If you're interested in food waste, maybe Karine, you can type in your email and then they can come back to you. Lieta is also interested. Yeah, unfortunately, this Farm to Fork opportunity, the deadline is in January, so there is not a lot of time. But as I said, maybe under the next Urbact or under the next live, there is a specific subtopic on waste and circular economy. So for sure, over there is also going to be opportunities to work together. So, yeah, of course, I'm not allowed to share each other's contact details without your authorization, but you can type it in and then it's going to be fine. Great. I think we have finished for this topic. Andrea, so shall we move to the rooms? This is a time, Andrea, maybe I'll leave this session to you to present the 2 rooms, and then I will just present how we will proceed to the 2 rooms.
Perfect. Thank you indeed. In the meantime, in the chat, Alessandra from Genoa take that they are interested to bring experience to Karin. So we have this 2 room now. We are perfectly in time, so we are very happy also for this. Not each time happens, but we have 2 rooms because we think that we can go much more in detail with your experiences. If we are smallest group and we have more time as well, and so we collect from from the registration, your interest in presenting something, and we divided two clusters of topics. So the first room is about agricultural, procurement, and local food, and we have the opportunity to listen from Thessaloniki, Aarhus, Ostende, Milan, Istanbul, and Guimarães. I will be moderate that room with Fraser from Eurocities. As well, in the second room, we clustered the topic of food waste, solidarity, and social needs with the experience here of Oslo, Turin, Bruges, Glasgow, and Genoa. And that room will be moderated by Natalia and Dania. It's an opportunity for sure to know each other better. And also, if you mention that you are interested in a specific topic, please go in the room that can be allowing you to establish exchanges and networking and so on. So I think that we can move. Just to check with Anya, we record also the two rooms, right?
Yes, so how will it work? We will ask you to either join one or the second room. Unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in both presentations, but we will record them and we will share the recording online. So don't worry, you will be able to hear also from the other best practices. So we have two rooms. The first one is room strawberry, and the second one is room kiwi. So if you're interested to hear about agriculture, procurement, local food, we will ask you to click either on the image of the strawberry or on the image of the kiwi, or on the link that is below the image. If you're interested to know more about food waste, solidarity, and social needs, you can click on the kiwi or the link in the room 2. So one more time, in the first room, you will hear about agriculture, procurement, and local food, Thessaloniki, Aarhus, Ostend, Milan, Istanbul, and Guimarães. And in the second room, the kiwi room, is Oslo, Turin, Bruges, Glasgow, and Genoa. We will record. And we are back all together for some final 5 minutes. Fraser will stay just 5 minutes behind to make sure that you're all not getting lost. But so see you on the other side. So click on the image, either strawberry or kiwi, depending where you want to go. Everything clear? And see you back 5 minutes before 12 for some final goodbyes.
Thank you. We are now connected in our first room. We have some cities that decided to share their experience. We start immediately with Ostende, that is a Belgian city, and we have with us Katie Belpem, that is the Food Shift 2030 project coordinator, and she will present us the agricultural park of Ostende. It's a very interesting project that also in other meeting of Eurocities they present us. And so please, Katie, you have 4 minutes.
Yes, hello. So my name is Kathy Belpame. I am working for the coastal city of Ostende, and I will share some key messages with you. With this very first slide, I want to point out that we are a part of the Horizon 2020 project, Food Shift. And the great aim of Food Shift is to transform the food system towards a low carbon and high plant-based system. I'm not going to tell you much more about this project in those 4 minutes, but if you want, please visit our website and you will learn much more about Food Shift. On the left-hand side of the same slide, you will see the name of our food strategy for the city. It's called Ostende Oogst, or translated the harvest of Ostende. This strategy will be approved on Friday by our city council. And it was done as a part of Food Shift, and our city is delivering this strategy as a policy framework to shift towards a more sustainable system where we consume and produce more local products, like you see on the third picture. But now I will quickly turn to the reason why we were invited to join Food Shift, and we move to the second slide now. And I would like to say a word about our unique agricultural park. It is unique in Flanders, so that's the region in Belgium where I live. And it is unique in that sense that the city invested a lot of time, money, and also a lot of efforts the last 10 years to create this park. It was first designated as a zone for SMEs, so it was an industrial zone. Then it became a housing area, so building lots of houses. And then the city decided to buy the agricultural land for a green belt around the city. But eventually, while doing the planning process, it led to the decision to keep what was the current activity, agriculture. So we kept that function, but with a much more open and public character and mixed with other functions. So we had many years of master planning, spatial planning, careful landscape design, and this now led to a new park of the 21st century. It includes a CSA, so that's a community supported agriculture garden, where 275 members can come and pick their own vegetable each week. We have 3 sheep farmers. There is a cycling and walking path through the area. There is an orchard with ancient fruit trees, and much more is planned in the future. Like we will have an organic flower garden, we will have milk, dairy milk, and we will have, for instance, also a farmer's shop, a farmer's market. But especially we also want to link up with the neighbors of the area, because the area is very close to the built-up area of Ostende. We have 2 co-housing projects just next to the area. We have 2 schools, and we have the quiet village of Stine with a lot of restaurants. So very interesting partners and stakeholders to link up with. The agricultural park has really gained a lot of visibility this special year. So many people have discovered it through their walks, through their cycle rides, because we were forced to stay in our own city. And it was a great place for people to relax and to be outside. And the community supported agriculture saw that its members very quickly increased to the maximum level possible. So everything to do with the short chain has become much more visible and popular. I think it is like that in many regions, but thanks to the agricultural park, it became even more visible. And it provides a shared space for us to all to enjoy it. And hopefully in the future it will also lead to a lot of more insights and cooperations with farmers, and much more respect by people for what farmers are doing on a day-to-day basis. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you indeed, Katie. And in the future, when we organize in January the meetings among the different cities that are working with Horizon 2020, Food 2030 projects like Food Shift, Food Trails, Food E, and also the other 2, we can go much more in detail with all of our pilots. Thank you again. I come back to Thessaloniki because I think that Stella is entering the group.
Yes,
please
I am.
open your
Thank
micro,
you. Thank
please.
you.
Stella,
Sorry.
you have 4 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you. I have to be quick, so I might skip some slides. Next slide, please. And next slide. I want to talk about the food festival. City of Thessaloniki had a multicultural gastronomic identity of the city because was the metropolis of the Balkans for centuries. It's a port, it's the gateway for the Balkan hinterland and the southeastern Europe. It was influenced by East and West, and we have mixed nations. First of all, to say that it was inhabited by 300 BC, so we have mixed Jews, Armenians, Turks, and Greeks from Asia Minor, that they trying to combine all, their local cuisines. Next slide, please. What we actually try to do is we create an initiative called Food Festival in order to promote a city, first of all, touristically, but through these years, since 2011, we actually realized that that has to be enhanced and developed and to be transformed into a food policy. So we are trying to pass from food festival and by promoting just local cuisine and entrepreneurs of the city to actually establish a food council from these entrepreneurs and stakeholders, and to move to food policy. So till recently, from the past administration, there were several events organized for a month every year. At 2018, through all the year, we have mini events about the Thessaloniki Food Festival with local entrepreneurs, restaurants, etc., for promoting the city as a gastronomic destination. We maximize profits for catering. Our goal was to determine Thessaloniki as a gastronomic destination, to create new jobs and increase incoming tourism. And next slide, please. And next slide. And what has been accomplished is actually that we second as the capital of gastronomy in the Guardian, New York Times, Strata. We are building a unique and concrete gastronomic identity. A lot of clusters, they were encouraged to network and collaborate together with the local entrepreneurs and stakeholders and entities from the city that they have the food. We managed to increase market share for the businesses, and at 2016, 42% of travelers chose Thessaloniki for their holidays due to its gastronomy. Next slide. And that is our transformation now. Through the festival, we got in contact with other cities and networks all these years, European and international level. A lot of pilots have been developed through these years, and the city administration realized that besides the city branding and the promotion of Mediterranean nutrition, there were much more to do. And actually, we're talking about a more a holistic approach and a food policy. So it's an opportunity for us to be in the food trails and to concrete this goal, and to develop a strategy, and to establish our food council. Next slide, please. And I think that this is a few of our locals, products that you can see and you can find. The most common, it's one on the right corner, that it's called burrata. We tried to establish and to promote the local products into hotels for a local breakfast. And our last slides, where I can see that before COVID, that a few events that they were organized. This is the city hall, and they were in the weekends that local entrepreneurs, restaurants, they actually did a festival to promote their cuisine, and it was an opportunity for all the citizens and tourists to learn about the gastronomy of the city. Pretty much that's our first best practice and initiative for the food, and now we are trying to do much more on that, and we are pleased that we are happy that there are stakeholders, and especially the academy and the university of the city, that they want to be involved in this, and to have a co-creative and a participatory strategy, and to move to national legislation, and promote even more other policies from Europe. That's for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stella, indeed, for your presentation. And I think that the different presentations are well positioned on the topic of local food, agriculture, and procurement. Thanks again. Unfortunately, during the presentation, we missed to record one of the cities that presented. That was the city of Aarhus in Denmark. That was represented by then Christian Christensen, that is the consultant at Mayor Department for Business and Sustainable Development. And he presents us their experience in local production and sustainable public procurement. It's a pity that we doesn't able to record, but I want to show you the slide and then we merge in the presentation. The current state that they present, I just to say that they introduced that want to become a city, a CO2 neutral city by 2030. With the new edition of the climate strategy and action plan, just to send to City Council for the final approval. And in that climate strategy, they want as a goal to reduce the CO2 footprint by 25% within the food that produced by the Aarhus municipality. As well, the reduction of food waste in public kitchen by 1/3. And the increase amount of climate-friendly production of the food procurement. They also initiate new projects, and you can see in the slide, they bring public-owned land into play in a novel way for food production, as well to foster new business opportunity to startups and scale-ups a vibrant food cluster around Aarhus. We hope that the city of Aarhus can take place also in other meetings, and maybe for the next time we do our best to not miss the recording. So we move to Milan in Italy. Elisa Porreca is here connected from our food policy office, and she will present us the experience of the 20% of GHG reduction in school canteens procurement. Elisa, please, 4 minutes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you to all the colleagues that already presented. It was very interesting already. So let's see this experience from Milan. I want to tell you the activities that we developed as the municipality with the Food Policy Office, together with the Municipal Agency for School Canteens. So we have this company called Milano Ristorazione, which is totally owned by the municipality and that controls all the system of school canteens for public schools in Milan, and cooks also for the elderly and some other structures. But mainly they produce 85,000 meals per day, and the large majority is for the schools. You can see in the map all the blue dots are the canteens, and the red cross are our cooking centers that you can see. There are 26. The overall production of this company is around 17 million meals per year. So you can see how the impact of this company can be for our city. So the company decided to go in the Cool Food Pledge initiative created by the World Resources Institute. The initiative aimed to make a very big movement of companies and also public entities to measure, monitor, and achieve a goal of greenhouse gas emissions. They want to cut the greenhouse gas emissions by 25% in the next 10 years, with a baseline starting from 2015, so that we have 15 years range to make this cut of emissions. The main activity for our company for school canteens was to gather all the data for the procurement that they had from 2015. And we can say that it was a really interesting activity also for the company itself. They started to work on the sustainability aspects of their work, also thanks to the food policy that the municipality established. So they started to think how they could make their procurement and the menus for the children more sustainable both for the health of the children and for the health of the planet. And if we go to the next slide, we can see the result of this work. So I will guide you through all these data and tables. At the top on the left, you can see how the procurement of Milano Ristorazione changed through the years. Each column is a year, and through the 5 years, because also in 2020 this trend continued, they cut the purchase of beef, of pork, so in general of red meat, and they tried to substitute that food with more plant-based or either eggs or dairy products. You can see on the right how much this reduction was from 2015. So beef and pork were almost totally cut. We had some increase, and in particular, I want to stress the fact that they added the legumes and they found new plant-based alternatives for the meals for the children. And this led us to a reduction of GHG of 20% in just 4 years. So this is a very big achievement for our city, but also for the initiative as overall. Because of course we somehow proved that it's possible to make a shift in the procurement. In this case, it's public procurement, but it can be made in any kind of bodies around the interested entities. And we reached almost the goal set for 2030 in just 5 years. So this is very interesting, and I believe that it gives you the perspective of how public entity, so cities, as we are all interested in that area of action, that field of action, can really have a huge impact in just making some very thorough decisions, but very easy shift, because of course we had this whole framework of the food policy that was easier for convincing also the families, and it was possible to achieve this. And the World Research Institute also have a tool to compare the performance of each participant to the initiative, and this is useful also to be on the same level and have a comparison also with maybe private entities, which is always interesting for school canteens, companies, or even if they are public.
Thanks, Elisa. Thanks indeed for representation of a public power of public procurement. And we now move to Istanbul. We have with us Ahmet Atalik, that is head of Department of Food and Rural Area. And he will present us their experiences encouraging local agriculture action. He haven't a slide, but please, the floor is yours for the next 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Andrea. I'll tell you about our farming and marketing activities. During the pandemic period experienced in our country as well as the whole world, the importance of the food production has emerged in a very dramatic way. In this process, the provision of seedlings for the farmers growing vegetable who also had financial problems came to the agenda, and the administration of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality had decided to provide seedling support to our farmers in the city. In a period when the pandemic was very intensive and worried, our employees had worked hard to get the demands of our farmers in the field. 3.6 million units tomato, cucumber, pepper, aubergine, and watermelon seedlings were distributed to 701 farmers in 83 rural neighborhoods in 9 districts of Istanbul. Our agricultural engineers have always given technical support to our farmers after the seedlings are distributed and planted to the soil. Our farmers whose seedlings were distributed were trained in our education centers. During training, the information on combating plant diseases, pests, and plant nutrition was given by agricultural engineers who are experts in their fields. There had been an intensive participation of farmers in the training organized. A historical market in Kadıköy district has assigned to our farmers on Sundays in order to ensure that both the farmers be supported with seedlings and other farmers throughout Istanbul can sell their fresh vegetables and fruits they produce directly to the consumers. Because of the pandemic period, our farmers market hasn't been opened since the beginning of December due to the curfew order imposed on weekends. Following the removing of the curfew order, it will continue to be established in the same place every Sunday. Our mentioned market is open not only to our farmers, but also to cooperatives. Those are farmers' organizations. No matter which city in Turkey, when agricultural cooperatives appealed, the case is assessed and assigned to them in the marketplace. Our farmers' market attracts serious attention and support from Istanbul residents, especially from Kadıköy district. People living around the market area come to the market very early in the morning for buying fresh vegetables and fruits. Therefore, our efforts to establish another farmers market on the European side of Istanbul also continue intensely. There are serious demands from both our farmers and consumers. Vegetable seedling support of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality will continue in 2021. We have also planned that. For this purpose, we determined the demands of our farmers. Our farmers in 15 districts and 105 neighborhoods requested more than 4 million seedlings. Vegetable cultivation. Vegetable cultivation is based labor intensive in our country. In this sense, it is a production area where women's labor is at the forefront. The seedling sport ensures that our women are more visible in production and economy. More than half of the farmers in the market are also women. To sum up the content, as Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, we provided seedling support to our farmers in the city, gave special training on vegetable cultivation, and established a farmers market in order to enable them to sell vegetable to the consumers without intermediary. Our clean environment, happy farmers, and consumers. This is a simple example from Istanbul. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed. Thank you, Ahmet, indeed. I hope that also for the next meeting you can take in part and strengthen your participation in this working group. Thank you again. We move now to Portugal, in the city of Guimarães. We have with us Ricardo Nogueira Martins, if I don't perfect, that works for the Landscape Laboratory, and he will present us their experience in the Rural Incubator for Agricultural Projects. So please, Ricardo, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you very much for allowing me to present. First of all, let me say that Guimarães has led a strong process of environmental change in the recent years. After the cultural capital in 2014, Guimarães understands sustainability as an engine of development, and especially the environmental sustainability as the axis of territorial development. For this purpose, the local government established the Landscape Laboratory that I am part of as a geographer. And this is an entity created by the municipality of Guimarães together with the University of Minho and the University of Trás-os-Montes e Alto Douro. At the same time, the Greener Guimarães Moro and the definition of a Guimarães 2030 mission structure promotes in our territory the establishment of the 2030 agenda in all municipal management and governance. On different axes, from nature to water or waste, food and agriculture were also included. You can change the slide, please.
Can you see?
Yes, thank you very much. So, as I was saying, in this way, this food and agro strategy was implemented, and since 2017, the Incubadora de Base Rural, the Guimarães Rural Incubator, is a service promoted by the municipality to support the implementation of companies, especially dedicated to initiatives of rural basis, such as agriculture, agro-industry, forestry, agrotechnology, or even rural tourism. Guimarães, taking advantage of the agriculture and forest values, aims to promote economic growth, business development, social inclusion, and smart land use. Let me say that this program, the Rural Incubator Program, Guimarães Rural Incubator, is particularly devoted to support young entrepreneurs that are committed with biological production. The metrics of this action and this incubator and the methodological procedure rely on 4 structuring axes, as you can see in the slide. The first one is the incubation plan, and it is divided in 3 stages. The first stage of our incubation plan, of our rural incubator of Guimarães, is the Entrepreneurs Workshop. The Entrepreneurs Workshop consists of a training week aimed to entrepreneurs with the aim of transmitting theoretical and practical knowledge about rural-based entrepreneurship. And it includes field trips with local entrepreneurs and theoretical classroom moments. It also allows, in a first phase, to elaborate a summary, a draft business plan. The second stage of this incubation plan is really the business plan. Not the draft plan, but the business plan phase and stage. The objective of this business plan elaboration stage is to support entrepreneurs in order to write and structure a realistic rural-based business plan that is able to be implemented and financed in our local reality. The last stage of this incubation plan is the network and cooperation. We aim to maintain a support network for our entrepreneurships participants in a scenario of sharing experience. And in this way, we can also approach some connectivity with our well-established business companies in order to our entrepreneurs do a kind of I'm looking for the word. I'm thinking in Portuguese, but
if you want to do in Portuguese,
no. Internship. Okay. In the third stage of the incubation plan, we aim to also promote internships to our entrepreneurs. So the second phase of the rural incubator of Guimarães is access to land. In this way, municipality created a land bank composed of all abandoned and or cultivated lands that exists in Guimarães. And here the municipality is a mediator between our entrepreneurs, the owner of the land. Okay, the municipality will be renting the soil after a technical evaluation that allows to give the owner euro per hectare per year. And in this way we can achieve great amounts of lands that will be later used by our entrepreneurs. I'm not seeing my slide.
Yes, because we need to come back to the principal room. But thank you for the presentation. Just to say a few words, I think that this presentation from Guimarães and from Ostender are very linked because they are touching some similar topic about establishing entrepreneurship in rural area and to strengthen also the public of
and maybe we can start. Maybe we can start a conversation together.
Perfect. It's the goal of our. So please click on the link that I put in the chat to come back to the principal room. So to the room in which we were before now. So please click.
Lina, are you with us? Lina from Oslo.
Hello.
Hi, Lina.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry,
So we asked you to present in 4 minutes, more or less, very quick, what you're working on right now in Oslo, and I will share your presentation.
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Lina from Oslo. I work for the Agency for Urban Environment and I'm an advisor on sustainable food. So I'm going to present one of many things that we did last year. This is a campaign that we had in 2019 called Food Win Families. It was a cooperation with an environmental organization called Future in Our Hands. Next slide, please. So this was a campaign that focused on food waste in households. It's actually a concept developed by the environmental organization Future in Our Hands, and they did this campaign with 200 families in 18 cities in Norway. So Oslo is just one of the cities that did it, and we did it with 45 families, of which 25 completed the program. So each city can adopt the concept and implement how they want locally. And in Oslo, on average, of all the families that completed the program, on average, they reduced their food waste by 75%. And on the picture there, you see the best family that we had, they reduced their food waste by 95% from 4.7 kilos per week to 37 grams per week. Next, please. So the families that participated, they went through this program of 1 month. So the first week they were asked to continue with the business as usual and not do any changes and just measure their food waste. So they were we handed out weights for them if they didn't have it and instructed them how to measure their food waste. And by the end of week 1, there was an event with all the families. Remember that when this was 2019, so we could actually meet in an event. So all the families met each other and they exchanged their thoughts and experiences, and they had also inspiration and advice from Future in Our Hands and City of Oslo. We established a Facebook group for the families, the 45 families, to communicate with each other during the month and to exchange what they found as they were going through the program. So this became actually a very lively Facebook group where they posted videos and pictures and postings with tips for each other. So it was very good to see. So on week 2, the families introduced new habits to try to reduce their food waste. The same with week 3, and at the same time they were active in the Facebook group and also using an app called Ducky, which is an app for giving feedback to people when they do climate-friendly actions. They can register in the app and get immediate feedback on how much CO2 they reduced and also how they are doing compared to others in the group, and get different kinds of feedback. So on week 4, we asked them to measure again to see how their new habits had changed their food waste and share with each other. And after week 4, we asked all of them to be ambassadors for food waste, and we were active together in the media to share all the stories of the families that went through the program. And on the picture there, you see one of the new habits that we introduced to the families. It's a Eat Me First box that you keep in the fridge. So for all open jars and dinner leftovers and half-eaten paprikas, you can put it in the Eat Me First box so that things don't get lost in the fridge. Next, please. I think that's it, but next slide is this is a picture of our from our waste system in Oslo. We have when we have recycling, we sort plastic in blue bags and food waste in green bags, and the residual waste in the bags you get from the grocery store. So we have optical factories with optical sorting in Oslo that sort the bags. So all of them go in the same bin, and then they're optically sorted in the factory. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Line, for keep it quick. So it gives the opportunity to ask if people have questions or if you want to know more. Maybe is there a small website or a document that you can share also with us that we can share further? We'll be happy.
Sure, I can send you some links, and I do have, if I have time and if there's no questions, I have an extra slide after this with some learnings.
Ooh.
From the, if you would like.
No, I didn't put Andrea didn't put it, but we can share it afterwards for sure.
I can share one thing that I thought was really interesting. It was Future in Our Hands. They one thing we try to learn people is to trust their own senses when they consider food, if it should be thrown away or not. And we tell them to look and smell and taste before they throw anything away. And then in the event we had on week 1, we talked to them about using their senses, but also to use their senses when the food is fresh, because how are you supposed to know how milk is supposed to smell if you never smell it fresh? So one thing is to try to smell if it's gone bad, but to know it's easier for you if you also smell it when it's fresh, and that goes with all the food. So that was one of the new habits that we tried to give them.
Okay. Is any other city try something like this? Maybe you can put it in the chat or raise your hand. Or is something very new that we are learning today?
And sorry, I have a question. Do you do some monitoring after this month program to see if people are keeping up with the new practices?
No, and I think that would be nice to do that, because you know, they say that it takes 30 days to change a habit or to get a new habit, but from my own experience, I know that the habits can also change after that. So that would be really nice to follow up on the families a year later, for example. And also, I wish that we can have this Food Win families like a regular program, so that it's more predictable for people and more well known. So if if this was a yearly thing or 2 times per year that you can sign up to be a Food Win family. I wish we could do that. So hopefully we can convince the politicians too.
Can you remind us how many people were engaged in Oslo?
So it was 45 families.
45 families, yeah.
Most of them with children, because from our experience or our data shows that they are the group that throws away the most. But we also had 1 couple with no children and 1 student that participated. So 45 families and 25 completed. I think that means that they did both the first week of measuring and the last week of measuring, so that we only have comparable numbers for 25 families.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Karin, your hand was raised because I know you're also very involved with Food Win, the association.
Yeah, I was really, it's nice to see that the name is repeated everywhere. Our project is called Food Winners instead of Food Win Families, so it's similar also, but maybe I'll tell something more about it in the presentation later on. But we just started, so it's nice to see that it works and that people can have actual reduction, 75-95%. That's really impressive. Yeah.
You know, we are going to start also in Brussels. They didn't accept me as ambassador because I was not wasting any food. I think
but yeah, I remember the Future in Our Hands, they said that when they recruited families, they were very focused on having relatable families. So not only like the really eco-friendly families doing everything in a green way, but like a diversity of families from all over the city and all kinds of households. So I think that's a good point.
Feel free to jump in. We are now only 15, so Morgan, feel free to go.
Yes, I already wrote what I wanted to say, but in Metropole we already launched a challenge for families about energy, water, and waste, and we are now building the challenge on food. So we are co-building it because we are working with local partners to make sure that the message we want to send and share are shared by all the partners. And to recruit the families, we are also relying on local partners and specifically like local social centers, so that they can include this challenge in the way they support families during the year. So this is how we are going to not work only with families that already know and already do and want to do more, but also people that need more support.
Simone will be next, but Alessandra is asking if she can go because she will have to leave at 12 precise. So Simone, will you be a gentleman and leave your place to Alessandra?
Sure, of course.
Alessandra, so I think we can move Genova and Turin around.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Alessandra, I know you have your own slide, as far as I know.
Yeah, no, you have my slides.
Okay, I'll retrieve them then. Sorry, there was a lot of slides going on yesterday night.
You have been definitely cut.
Sandra, feel free to start, and I will retrieve your slide.
Yes, don't worry. So, thanks for inviting us, and it's a pleasure to us because, as you know, at Eurocity level, we are rather active as we can, and we have a straight connection too with Torino and Milano about the food policy, not only. I'm Alessandra Risso. I'm responsible for, how can I define, the coordination of strategical processes dealing with smart and sustainable development policies for the city of Genoa. And I support the deputy mayor in charge of the environmental policies, especially about food policies and other issues connected to food policy. Since I have been asked to be very, very short and quick, I wanted to share with you some guidelines and views and, first of all, values that move our policy and our activity. First of all, we made a lot of effort to put the food policy as a crossing topic among all departments, that we are trying to match and to join all the different approach to food policies I I mean tourism, social, educational, health, and economic approaches. We connect the food policy to the Agenda 2030 goals, and we think that the social dimension of food policy is very, very important. In fact, it's strictly connected to our resilient plan. We think that food policy at the end is a resilient challenge. We want to underline as the networking level is strategical. In fact, we set up local participative boards and collaboration agreements with local stakeholders, with other cities such as Milan and Torino, and partnerships, private and public, within the city itself. If you want to go on? To the next, thank you. We think that food policy can be one answer to social needs. Having an exchange of view with the colleagues in charge of social policies, they underlined how, by their experience, to give food to people, it's also an opportunity to enhance and to promote a new culture and education to the healthy food, to give value to food. And it's also an opportunity, by going inside the houses of people, by bringing food, to catch even the deeper needs, social needs of people. Sometimes the citizens in difficulties have a lot of, are resistant in going to public services to be helped. By volunteers going to their house and bringing food, it's really an opportunity even to give signals of other and deeper problems that are inside the food needs. So this is an interesting point of view. During the emergency, the months of the emergency, we understood that citizens needed more help in getting food, especially who lost their jobs or suspended their activity during the COVID via the emergency. And they have expressed really concretely the impossibility of coping with the purchase of food. That's the reason why we adopted a protocol of understanding in August 2020, but we have already started the process among the stakeholders, among all the actors engaged in the food policy activities between the municipality of Genoa and the third sector, to manage initiatives, common and shared initiatives on the fight against new powers and imaginations. And then we went to a sort of memorandum of understanding with rules, with procedures, and so on. Now I had to stop the slide because Andrea asked me to cut the slides, but I wanted to speak about very, very quickly, if I have 1 minute more, about other tools. We opened a permanent table among all stakeholders, public, private, volunteers, associations, citizens themselves, to discuss and define lines of actions, who produced active and close collaboration on the occasion of the distribution of the shopping vouchers promoted by the municipality, who were provided by the municipality and the third sector in favor of over 230,000 families. And we were able to reach even those families who were excluded at the end. This collaboration with the third sector brought to the collaboration to the distribution system, and that was, we think, a best practice to be shared and
yeah. So thank you very much.
And supported.
I think a lot of the people that are present today, they all had to deal with increase in the need for food during the month of the pandemic, right? I actually just yesterday there was an article on Reuters of the queue in Milan of people that are queuing to get food, especially before the holidays. So it's really great that, of course, as cities we intervene in that to making sure no one is left hungry. Does anybody has any question or comment for Alessandra? And otherwise, I will share the long version of the slides, and they have your content, and they can come back to you. Joe from Glasgow also has a very similar best practice to share as well. And now we are sharing a bit, living a bit to the order, because first we started with food waste, and then it was social. But now with your intervention, Alessandra. No, we focus on the proper intervention. No, let's not change. But just to say that Joe later will also have something on access to food and the social aspect of leaving no one hungry. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, I will ask Simone to jump in.
Thank you, Simone.
Thank you for being a gentleman and leaving your place.
No worries. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. I'll try and keep it pretty succinct, since I think we have a few others afterwards. So we've spoken before about the Repop project, the circular markets project we've been implementing in the city of Torino, in our biggest market, which is the biggest open air market in Europe. And we've achieved some very significant results, both in terms of the percent of waste being properly sorted, but also in the massive reduction of organic waste being generated through the recovery of unsold foods at the end of the day. And in the past 3 years, we've recovered over 250 tons of food that gets redistributed at the end of the day. But I think we've mentioned this before, but there's been some recent developments that I thought could be of interest to others in the group that I wanted to mention. For one thing, now that we've consolidated the results of the program of the project, we've expanded it to 4 additional markets in the city, and our plan is to essentially demonstrate that this can be replicated in each of the city markets. So hopefully we'll be able to eventually scale up to operate in all 45 of our open air markets. But we also have been evolving the project, and I thought I would share just a couple of images of two key situations that we are trying to make more regular. Let's see if I can find the image. So I don't know if you can see the image on your screen, but the real progress that we've been trying to make is not just collecting unsold food, but also being able to transform it, to cook it and serve it, because every day we're not necessarily able to redistribute all of the unsold food, and we want to essentially reduce any waste to zero, but also at the same time transmit to people and create a culture of use and reuse, and transmit that excess food is not waste, that excess food is full of potentially delicious opportunities. And so one of the things that we've done, and I think you can see from the image in front on the screen, is we've begun intended on a monthly basis. We've done it twice so far because of the restrictions. We've not been able to implement it every month, but we have done it twice so far, where we collect the undistributed recovered food, and we bring it to a food court that's right in front of the open air market. And with the help of some renowned chefs who operate within the food court, we transform it into a nutritious meal that is served in front of the market to anybody who wishes to eat, to taste, and it's served. So it's prepared by renowned chefs who can sort of be witnesses and testify to the value of the recovered and unsold foods. And it's of course distributed with the help of our asylum-seeking volunteers who really are the backbone of the project. And so this is usually where things get kind of difficult in the food recovery process, is the transformation process and having the right certifications and sort of being in line with health code and regulations. But we've and this is one of the reasons I wanted to share this moment, is that we've found that working with a partner that sort of serves as an umbrella organization, such as the main operator of the food court, this Mercato Centrale, we are able to essentially operate under their auspices and essentially get beyond the difficulties of trying to certify and demonstrate compliance with the activities that would otherwise be done by volunteers. So this has been a huge step forward. I think we intend to proceed again on a monthly basis as soon as we're able to resume normal operations, and our intent is to evolve the preparations to really reflect the cultural diversity of the community around there. And the second piece of this is that we at the same time have taken on a booth in a kitchen in the food court, where our volunteers are able to distribute the undistributed foods at the end of the day, but also where on Fridays and Saturdays they transform particularly the fruits into juices and smoothies that are distributed free to whomever may swing by. So again, we're taking advantage of the umbrella of the Mercato Centrale to essentially move from a just recovery and redistribution to also a transformation and distribution process. And this has been a huge step forward, and one that we'd like to try and expand on and replicate. In this space, we are studying the project that we'll implement in the spring to grow mushrooms from the used coffee grinds from the bar inside the Mercato Centrale and so forth. So we're trying to really innovate in the circularity of this project.
Thank you, Simone. Natalia has a question.
Yeah,
Please.
exactly. Referring to the first situation you showed us, I was just curious if, I mean, you say distributed, so if I understand properly, it's for free for the participants, or
Absolutely for free. Absolutely for free. The participation of the chefs from inside the Mercato Centrale is a volunteer effort on their part, and we are one of our sponsors in the project is a company that produces compostable fibers and polymers, and so they provide all of the cups that you see there are fully compostable. So is the silverware and the plates and so forth, and it's free to anyone who stops by. In the picture is our mayor who decided to stop by, thankfully, on one of those days.
Okay, so you don't have any city budget involved in this action particularly?
We fund we fund the project annually for the redistribution, the recovery.
Yeah, but I mean for this situation, I mean for the process.
It's based on the goodwill contribution of the chefs and the operational budget of the project.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
And Simone, so we already have a case study on Porta Palazzo and the achievement, but it would be great to know more. So if you can send us something in writing, we'll be more than happy to add it because this was such an inspiring example of social food saving and social consideration, involvement of migrants. So it's always one of our preferred case studies.
We do.
Thank you, Simone.
Yep.
So shall we move to Karim? Yeah, it's Karim from Bruges that is gonna present.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And sorry, I need to keep you. We can take 5 minutes more, but not more. And I also want to give, of course, opportunity to Glasgow. So let's be quick.
Yeah, of course. I have tried to be as quick as I can. Yes. So we started in 2015 with our sustainable food strategy. And I'm just waiting for the slides to pop up. Yeah, that's our image from our food strategy. And we have 6 priorities, and food waste is one of them. And we really want to focus around prevention and around redistribution. There's a little graphic on it. There were no numbers available in Flanders at that moment on how many food waste there was in Flanders, but we had the food waste estimation tool from Foodwin, and that was with the numbers of European averages. So we had a vague comprehension on which categories where the most food waste was processed, and we had restaurants, citizens, healthcare, but we didn't know where to start. But we were approached by actually 2 directors of our 2 hospitals in Bruges who wanted to work around food waste. So the first choice was easily made. We did something around the healthcare sector. And maybe you can go to the next slide. There's just a brief on which target groups we already worked. So we worked around food waste in healthcare sector, our first project, and it was funded by our public agency of waste. That was a project for 2 years, so we did it really in detail. We used a method from the University of Wageningen, so we measured everything, starch, meat, vegetarian, vegetables, how many food waste there was in the hospitals. But we also had 1 daycare center and 1 catering service. And we measured the food waste. It was around 40%, unfortunately. And then we had impact solutions, and we measured again. And then we had a reduction of 37%. And all the solutions, we put it in a manual, and it's also translated in English. So if everyone wants to have a hand on that manual, just give me a sign and I will send it to you. No problem. But we have 19 healthcare institutions in Bruges, and we also have a large catering service. So we want to do a follow-up session in the next years around that sector. Then we had a project around good food at school that is with organization of Ricolto, Good Planet and Fair Trade Belgium. And we only had 2 schools who participated, and they did the food waste measurement also, but that's where we are looking for partners for funding for the next years to be more in detail for all of the schools in Bruges. And then we had a thesis student of social work who wanted to look to the amount of food waste in supermarkets, and there we found that we have about 15,000 kilograms food waste a week in our Bruges supermarkets. So that was really a lot. So we started to search for other funding, and we found it in the Interreg of Flavor, and that's a project that redistributes the food waste from supermarkets to social organizations, but also with the creations of jobs in social economy. So there we also want to do different things, food waste and the poverty lost my thread eventually. And that's a project we are working on right now. That's Food Winners, like in Oslo, for families. We just started, so we have 50 ambassadors, and we also chose them around all of the region of Bruges. People who have a household, people who are alone, younger people, older people, people in poverty, people who have a middle income. And they are studying right now for 4 months on topic of food waste. They already had 1 measurement without any tips, and next year they will have a 2nd measurement, and then they will be promoted as ambassador, and they will help us in the search of next year 500 households in Bruges, and the year after that we want to reach 5,000 households in Bruges. I'm not sure if we're going to reach that. That's really ambitious, but we'll see. And our goal is to reduce food waste for 30%, but we also want to do a CO2 reduction measurement around it. Also in the other project, that was also because it's included in our climate plan. And one other project we're working on right now, that's Foodwave. And that's also the reason why I can't join the webinar tomorrow, because we have a meeting from Foodwave, the first kickoff meeting. And that is to inform young people about climate change and sustainable foods. Young people, we say from 15 to 35 years, but food waste is also a topic in it, but we still have to see how we can, or what we can do about the topic in that project. So that was a real quickie. I hope I'm still in time.
No, it's perfectly on time. I love how Natalia is scribbling and she's taking notes. I can see the video. Are you taking notes of everything you're hearing? Which means everything is very interesting. Natalia, you're muted. Natalia, you're muted. I was just.
Oh yeah. I'm making notes on what I want to get back afterwards. And Karen, we will see each other tomorrow in the Foodwave.
Okay.
Yes.
And Karine, Joe would also like to have access to these guidelines. So maybe you can.
I will send him.
Share them, and we can also send them around as a follow up for this meeting. So I suggest we take 5 minutes more compared to the agenda, because we also want to hear from Joe and from what the work of Glasgow. That is a nice sum up on food waste, recovery, transformation, and also access to food in order to tackle poverty. So Joe, the floor is yours.
Hi everybody. Just because I know there's some people new here today, I would like to say from the beginning that Eurocities Working Group in Food has been invaluable to the work we are doing. It really began about 2 years ago, and in, I think it was May last year, Andrea from Milan came to Glasgow. We had the Food Summit, and there was a recognition we'd already been doing some work on the ecosystem in Glasgow, but that we needed a food strategy, a food plan. I said earlier that that's out for consultation. We've done a lot of work regarding that, and we're working with the third sector and local groups. In the meantime, we have actually developed a food strategy and our climate emergency plan too. So all these things dovetail. The consultation just now is consulting in a number of areas. Fair food for all, food poverty, community food, food procurement and its link to catering services in the Glasgow, the wider food economy, because there's a very healthy restaurant scene in Glasgow, and I think we're actually recognised as leaders when it comes to kind of vegan food, etc. But environment and food waste, as I've said, and children and young people, recognised, and I think as some other people have touched upon about the rise in obesity that we've seen just due to cheap produced food. So that's out for consultation just now. One of the things we supplied, hopefully, I don't know if Anya's able to bring that up, rather than a PowerPoint, we supplied a video. Are you able to show that?
Yeah.
So yeah. A treat if it works.
Yeah, it should work. It should work. That's why you might have heard a little bit of sound because I was actually checking that it was working. No, oh, damn it. One moment.
You can do things in the background. I'll keep chatting. What we're going to show you is, I'm enjoying that she's been a bit shy. She puts on a camera. One of our politicians, Councillor Mandy Morgan, who's been leading all some local work in her area. We'll watch the video first. Great stuff. So hopefully that video wasn't too fast. The pantries began led by Councillor Mandy Morgan, who's still being very shy, not putting on her camera, in her ward in a particular neighbourhood called Eurocities. So involved working with the community, identifying a shop space, community working together with city professionals to create a local shop, and using surplus supermarket food that would go to waste. Obviously, you know, prioritising healthy food, and there's wider plans within that community, which hopefully Councillor Morgan will join. But you know, as well as the big kind of macro ecosystem, we're also looking at local ecosystems as well. So looking at nearby sites that the community can grow their own food and can be you know, provided in the shops. And Councillor Morgan has been doing some incredibly interesting work. This area of Glasgow used to be rural, used to be a farming community, renowned for growing roof, and part of the work has been making that connections. So been looking at heritage foods that, you know, are invaluable when it comes to biodiversity, and looking at for ways of kind of growing them, the local community treasuring them, but also looking at business models, and hopefully we will see not just food, but the production of drink and maybe rhubarb gin in the future as well. So again, you know, trying to be really creative and looking at, you know, the food that we eat, but also the food that's kind of produced, heritage aspects, biodiversity. And again, all of this is underpinned by dignity being at its heart. It's a shop that everybody can use. It's not just a food bank where you have to qualify and you have to be referred, but it becomes part of the local community. So hopefully that gives you some ideas about what's happening. We're very excited about this. From, you know, beginning in a kind of neighbourhood in Glasgow, it's became a Scottish network, and would be interested in sharing that learning and learning from other peer cities in Europe.
Fantastic. And why you chose the name pantry for us that are not native speaker?
Pantry. It's I don't think it's a Scots word. I think it is, you know, it's a kind of English, but pantries used to be small rooms in flats before you had fridges where you would store your food. And so, you know, usually kind of cold, so you keep your milk there and your kind of butter, keep your potatoes. So I think it's a bit of a recognition that in as much as none of us would want probably to live without freezers and foods, but we have to remember as well how people used to, and there was a lot of value in that. You know, I came from a family where no food was ever wasted, no food whatsoever, and we had a pantry, the pantry room. So I think that's part of the reason for informing that. So a bit of a move away from the throwaway fast food microwaves with all the sugar and salt. You know, sometimes the effort involved in that takes longer than actually making a basic healthy meal.
Thank you, Joe. It was very interesting, and I know that in Ghent and in Turin and all the other cities that we heard today, I can see the objectives are very similar, and it's so interesting for us to see the different way that you're also trying to achieve the similar objective of not wasting food and also guaranteeing access to safe food, transform it. So thank you very much for this inspiring moment, and thank you for the presenter. We know it was not a lot of time, but there was a lot of interest, and I'm sure we can come back throughout 2021 to provide more information. And for sure, for example, I would be interested to know if another cities wants to replicate this successful example. They will need to know, for example, how much money you have to use, how much time. So this is also information that are worth sharing so that other cities can also get access.
And just very, very quickly, we would definitely be interested in hearing from other cities. And maybe this is another Eurocities working group forum, but looking at the opportunities for social enterprise. I mean, we are kind of seriously looking at the potential for things like rhubarb gin. You know, there is a market there, and why shouldn't a local community be at the heart of that? And it's fun. I mean, let's remember we're humans, and it's food and drink.
Yes, no, social enterprises and being sure to create the small and medium enterprises alongside the food chain where there is a gap is absolutely fundamental, and it's actually something that is going to be coming up a lot also in the future. I'm so sorry, so I invite you very quickly to go back to the main room. You have the link in the chat, and then we have just final 3 minutes to say goodbye, and so see you there.
Okay, we are seeing also the others coming back.
Yes, we are coming back from the room too.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, just maybe a few seconds to see that all are come. Perfect.
We came back. Sorry for delay. It was so interesting.
Okay, just a few seconds. There are someone in.
The best image was Natalia scribbling furiously to take all the notes from all the good practice.
Yeah, there are so many inputs. That's great.
Indeed. Also in our strawberry team. Okay. We are more or less all of us come back. Okay. So just to conclude, many thanks to all the presenters that share their experience, and also I think that also better than other time we do our best to share also with Google Doc and also all the intervention that we have. We know that there are just 2 hours, but in 46 person connected, we activated this mastermind of actors active on food policies, and I'm personally very happy, but also by seeing your smile, I think the same for all of us. Just to know that we are a little bit ready to launch also an online platform fully dedicated to our Eurocities working group food based on the SharePoint of Eurocities that will be improved and facilitating all the repositorying of all of these slides, all the recording, all the material that you are proposing. By reading the Google Docs, some of you already mentioned the opportunity to share our approved urban food policies. There we can upload and facilitating this collection of all of our formal commitments that are very important to facilitate and to drive our food policy actions. I think that we haven't time to share what we present in the 2 rooms, but from my side it was very exciting. We spoke about agricultural, rural incubators, public lands, procurement, impact indicators, and everything else. But in the recording, you can follow also the others. Maybe Natalia, from your side.
Yes, so we had a look at what our participants cities made, for example, regarding food waste in households in Oslo, then linked to the food waste topics. We had Bruges also, who showed different projects on this as well. We had Glasgow also with a very interesting project, community-led shop for surplus food, which is called pantry. So we discovered a new word also in addition. So that was very insightful. We had Genoa presenting also. So you will see everything, and I highly recommend to watch it, obviously, when it will be online, so that we can take this inspiration with us and be full of motivation to implement our ideas further on food actions.
Thank you. So, Anya, you want to say hello?
I am very happy of this meeting. I know many of you know I don't like to meet online, but this is what we have to deal with. However, I think we tried to do our best in this 2 hours meeting, and I really hope for 2021 we can meet physically for another one of our 3 days meeting, and then there is so much more time to exchange and share and having coffee together and meals together. That is one of the best part of being part of this group, because informal sharing is still the most successful one. I see many people that were not registered are in the room. If you want to be sure to be in the mailing list, send me an email so to make sure that I will follow up for the meeting of today, the recording, the presentation. So if you did register, it's not a problem. Just if you haven't registered, just let me know.
And exploiting the presence of a Christmas tree at behind to Anya, we want to say hello to every one of you, and with this happy song, we want just to say Merry Christmas to all of you.
This next Christmas song is what they call a traditional. So let's sing it the traditional way. Just one man, two microphones, and three beautiful ladies singing equally beautiful harmonies. The Papini Sisters. Merry Christmas, ladies.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Buble.
Are you ready to sing a little Jingle Bell?
Yeah.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Thank you very much, guys. You can leave now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, I had to pay the tree too.
Yes.
As you have a tree behind you.
Very nice.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Happy holidays. Happy Christmas, everybody.
Let's hope everything is going better and better, okay? Bye.
Bye.